thrown electronically, so they all switch based on electronic system. I believe our rail traffic controller is out of Edmonton, and then there's the dispatchers that are out of Montreal. So between the two of them, they're controlling the whole CN main line, which is what we currently are on. Now, you may have noticed that it's fairly swampy and marshy around here. That is what will cause us any sort of greater delays because of this unfortunate circumstance up in the economy class this morning. Now we're sitting at about 2 hours late at the moment, which means that we are unfortunately out of our time slot. So because it's so tough to lay track throughout this region, because it's all swampy, marshy, it's called muskeg, but it just means soft kind of ground. So because it's so tough to lay track throughout here, there is only one track for a lot of this. There are a few different pullover points where we can pull to the side to let other trains pass, but a lot of those, they're called sidings, and a lot of those sidings aren't long enough for some of these huge freight trains. So we are now kind of we've always been at the mercy of the freight trains, but now more than ever, because we're in Northern Ontario, because there's only one set of tracks, and it's always rush hour on the CN main line. There's always a train 5 miles behind us, 5 miles ahead of us, 5 miles ahead of that. If you were to get a bird's eye view of the trains in Canada here, we're all just kind of trucking along, waiting on whatever's going on up ahead. You may have also noticed that there are some huge propane tanks that sit on the side of the tracks in the absolute middle of nowhere. Does anyone know what those are for? What it actually does is they put those there. We might see one coming. Oh, I do see one actually, just on the right-hand side. Is that the right? Yeah, just on the right-hand side, there's a propane tank just past this set of lights. And generally, that's where they are. And what it does is, because of the uncertainty of the weather, because of the change in the weather, they need to make sure that those switches don't freeze. So those propane tanks are actually heating the surrounding ground around a switch in the tracks, so that all times of year that switch can move fluidly from one side to the other. So we're just coming up, we're pulling onto a siding now. I'm assuming we're waiting on there'll be a freight train coming by us fairly shortly. And then, yeah, the propane tank is just past the switch.